duly posted. We are going to open this district-wide town meeting by first pointing out the fire exits, which are 2 to the rear, 2 to each side, and the stage. Best going out that way. Okay, thank you. And with that, could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we are going to follow the same rules as were at the last combined meeting, so that when I ask for a vote, we'll ask to do a standing count. We have counters assigned to the different sections, left, center, right, and then the advisory boards down here will be counted, and I will count the stage. And then we'll let you know when you can sit back down, and we'll ask for the no votes. We only have a single article on here, but of course, we have time for discussion and potential amendments. So, and as with all town meetings that we've been to, we are seeking decor and civility and giving everybody a chance to speak so that voices can be heard. Okay. Thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I'd
Yes.
like to motion to see if the towns of Phillipston and Templeton will vote to approve the $19,786,889 budget for the fiscal year 2020 proposed by the Narragansett Regional School District School Committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Do we have any discussion?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, sir.
Michael Curry.
Thank you, and I forgot to mention everybody needs to say their name.
Yep, Michael Curry, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen for Templeton. I move to amend the main motion by striking the words $19,786,889 and by substituting the words $19,500,000.
Motion been made and seconded, which I have in writing right here. Discussion on the motion, on the amendment to the motion. Yes, sir. Mr. Kazavant?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Chris Cassavant, Superintendent. So, back in March, a budget of $20,383,102 was presented. Given a series of discussions and a lot of talk, we cut the budget by $596,000. I'm rounding to bring up to the total of $19,786,889. So, what I think I failed last time to explain, and why a different number is just right now almost impossible for the district to hit, is that we would have to make cuts now at this time. We've talked about this quite a bit. This is not a new topic. What we discussed back in the early summer, late spring and early summer, was the fact that X amount of dollars would mean cuts. So if the difference is $286,889, which using the numbers, that's what my math comes out to, that would mean that we would have to make cuts mid-year. So what the $19.7 million, if you allow me just to round, does, and I think it makes it easy for those who may have been confused last time, because we had heard folks be confused, that if any number, 19.7 keeps this district in the current configuration that it is right now. It's really that simple. The 19.5 does not. And so, as the discussions will go on, and I understand, and we've heard quite a bit, that, you know, that desperate times call for desperate measures. You have to live within your means. I believe in all of those things. I was raised to believe all of those things. The difference here with education, and I believe that we would agree, I think, the towns, is that our obligations are to other people, Our people are children. So those services that we cut and we have were for children. So I understand, we all understand how important this topic is. I think that we've done a nice job, quite frankly, to agree to disagree. But to make it simple, the $19.7 million keeps the current configuration as we have it today. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Any other further discussion? Anyone from the audience seeking to speak is asked to come down and use the microphone down there and to address the audience.
I just got it.
John Thomas, Crossroad, Templeton. We should not approve an amendment that is lower than the amount that the school committee has certified. We've already done that twice, and that amount has been unanimously rejected by the school committee. We're rehashing the same thing, expecting a different result. We're going to get nowhere. The school committee has come up with their budget. The state has put a 1/12 budget in. We need to agree to move forward, move the town forward, move the school forward, and not continue to try something that just doesn't seem to work. And we are approaching the point where the state will come in and they will tell us what to spend, and the town will suffer whatever consequences result from that. This is the same motion, I believe, that was made last time and the time before that. And it was unanimously rejected, and I don't understand the logic in beating a dead horse.
Oh, okay.
John, just a quick point of order. It was not rejected last time. It actually was voted for, the 19.5 on the last meeting.
Okay, yeah, so let's get back. I think, Mr. Thomas, I think what he's saying is that the school committee did not certify that number. Yes, sir. You need... I was indicating...
I might have been mistaken. You're right.
Microphone behind you.
That amount was twice approved by the town meeting bodies, but that amount then went to the school committee and was unanimously rejected twice by the school committee. We can get nowhere with a regional budget unless the town and the school committee come to an agreement.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am.
We're having problems. I need some batteries. Hold on. Now it's on. One more time. Great. Liz Toth, 141 Gray Road. A couple of questions, if the moderator will allow. First, Mr. Caveat, can you please explain why the original budget came through $1 million over the previous year, given the fact we have a new school that should be much more energy efficient and everything is more combined into one place, that the initial ask was over $1 million, and you keep coming back saying no, 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 when the cost to the town is a lot of safety issues, which the children are also affected by. Can you please explain that?
Okay, so your questions all come through me, and I believe the question is to the superintendent. Could you give us a few?
Chris Casfran, Superintendent. So, as presented probably 4 or 5 times, there was a combination of reasons. One was the new building. absolutely. I would have to literally look at the PowerPoint, but it's around $400,000 was the increase just given the new school. Some of that was staff that were needed because of a new school. Others were the projected utilities. So that was one part of it. Also, just inflation. There are, of course, raises, and there, of course, is insurance and those type of things. So the energy efficiency, I think that's what you were bringing up, I think, right?
I was bringing up a number of points. One, the fact there was $1 million over your previous year's, but roughly $1 million over the previous year's budget. The fact that the school is supposed to be a green school, and as such, should actually cost less in utilities than it does today. And it sounds like you actually added in staff. So given all of that, I'm really confused how the school system can ask for that money knowing it's more than 2.5%.
Okay, if I could interject, the motion on the floor is for the amended article. So
Right, the motion on the floor is for the amended article.
The amendment.
And the school committee has already said, Mr. Caviant's already said that he already brought it up as far as the previous budget. So as the fact that you allowed him to do so, I would presume you would also allow me to do so.
Sure.
So to the point of being a green school, I'm not sure what you're comparing the numbers to. So if you're comparing them to the 3 over 100-year-old buildings that, now the new building is almost 3 times the size of floor space of those buildings. There is no, you can't make that comparison. If you're going to take a building that is the same size, the same footprint, and that does not have the amenities as the new building, well, then there's a conversation. If we're going to argue over how much oil the 3-story, 16,000 square foot, 100-year-old building is compared to the building 3 times, I mean, it just doesn't, the scope is not the same.
I respectfully disagree with that. So,
Okay, so you had a follow-up question?
You're not really answering my question, but thank you very much. I'll pass it on to the next person.
Okay. Gentleman over here first.
Tom Jelinuski, South Main Street. I have a list here of cuts the town will have to make, all having to do with public safety, which affect all of us, including the children. All I hear from the school department is generalities. Well, we're going to have to suffer. We're going to have to cut this. That. I don't see a list from the school department what you're going to have to cut if you don't get your budget certified. I would vote for the amendment and come back here next month and a month after if we have to and wait for the state to come in. Doesn't automatically mean that the bill is going to go up. It could go down. It could stay the same. I think the only way to resolve this issue is get to a crisis point and get it resolved once and for all. We're just kicking the can down the road. I see nothing in detail from the school department or Dr. Casavan either. You're just up there making generalities and expecting us to swallow it. Well, I'm not going to swallow it.
Thank you. Okay. Could I ask that we refrain from applause? I know everybody's emotional about this issue, but that just keeps things slowing down. So next.
My name is Paul Quattrocchi. I live at 2 Military Drive. Yeah. I'm a little disturbed. In 1959, I attended my first meeting here. And it was new to me because I came from a big city where you didn't have anything to say about how you're going to spend the money. I thought this was something great, something this country was built on. Apparently, our school committee doesn't accept that. This is the 4th time we've come up with this, and it's ridiculous. You take a look at what we're losing: police, EMS, highway. The police and EMS can possibly lose people we've trained, paid to train. But the school committee is more important than anything else. And the superintendent pulled the kid card out. All we got to do is say, it's for the kids. No, it's not for the kids. If this budget, if this amendment is approved and voted on tonight, and it is approved again, the kids will get educated. I don't think they'll lay off anyone. If they did, then they're not doing their job right. The point I'm trying to make is this is getting ridiculous. The school committee's getting greedy, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it, and everybody in here should be tired of it.
Thank you. The selectman first.
Terry Griffiths, Select Board. The stigma of the state coming in should be deflated. It appears regional schools all over the state are feeling neglected. Orange has joined with 5 other towns to sue the state for better funding. Getting DESE involved may set a precedent for all regional schools that are struggling.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Margaret Hughes, 65 Williamsville Road in Phillipston. I just want to address some of the comments that have been made, and I will agree this is getting ridiculous. Let's start with fact 1. We have had to report to the Department of Ed that we do not have a certified and approved budget. The Department of Ed, effective July 1st, gave us a 1/12 number. They did a lot of research, they looked through a lot of numbers, and they themselves gave us a number that agreed with the $19.78 million. That should be the answer to what do you think the state is going to give us December 1st. You think we're greedy? The state agrees with the funding we need for our kids. The school committee's main charge is to maximize student achievement. We've been seeing positive results. Our test scores, as well as other indicators, show that we're moving the needle to make strides in this district. And if we have to cut any more funds from our budget, our efforts to continue maximizing student achievement will be limited. We started at $20.3 million. What did that include? It included a lot of asks from the town. We spent a lot of time having discussions. What does everybody need? What does everybody want? Everybody wanted everything to remain the same. We have an elementary school in Phillipston. We needed to keep that open. We have an elementary school brand new in Templeton. Okay, we needed to make sure it was staffed. When the override did not pass, we initially were asking for $988,000 from the town of Templeton. And yes, it overwhelmingly was defeated 3-1. The issue is, though, is that nobody had a real idea of what the repercussions or ramifications of not voting for that override would do. When it got back to the school committee, we took another look. We said, how can we work with the town? We cut an additional $600,000 from our initial ask. And what did we lose? We lost 5 elementary teachers in Templeton Elementary School. We're not doing middle school Spanish, which shouldn't be an add-on. That should be a given that our middle school students need. We will never have an AP level foreign language course in this school if we don't get those resources. We need a para. We didn't get a para we needed. There were other miscellaneous cuts. We weren't able to do things that we need to do to help balance the social emotional needs of our students with the academic achievement that they need to have. What we did do, though, with $19.8 million, if you allow me to round, is we as a committee agreed that cutting 5 elementary school teachers in Templeton was not going to work. Class sizes, 32, 33, 35, 36 kids is not acceptable, especially with the new building. This committee said, if we can get 19.786, we will be able to utilize school choice funds and hire those teachers back. They're being paid for not out of that 19.786, but out of school choice funds. That is now at risk if this number does not pass. What else is in there? Well, last year we needed to hire an assistant principal in Templeton Elementary School. We went to the town, they couldn't afford it, so we said, okay, we'll put that in school choice this year, but next year we need to move that to our general fund. Well, guess what? it's still in school choice, okay, because it couldn't have been afforded. You want to have 700 kids in a building without a principal and an assistant principal? You can't have that, okay? You cannot have that and do the right by our students, all right? Based on this 19.786 number, we're able to continue down the path we are on, and we will continue to move the bar when it comes to student achievement and performing the services and needs that our kids have that start all the way at the bottom level of social, emotional, all of the things that we need to have a safe school so our children can learn.
Thank you. Yeah, let's both ways. Did you want to speak? Do you have a Gerhard?
Yes. Gerhard Fandryer, Phillipston. I have a question. The school committee recently gave Dr. Casavan a 5-year contract and a big raise. Can we please get an idea of what kind of money was involved with that?
Okay.
It is public, but it's not really relevant to the discussion. I don't have the numbers.
Well, that's certainly part of the budget.
Certainly is.
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, so I will apologize, but I will speak to what we did. Dr. Casavan did not get an increase the year before. So, yep, okay, all right, so we set a,
Okay, let's keep it civil,
so we
please.
do a performance evaluation on the superintendent, and we reward him accordingly. The school committee as a whole felt that's what he deserved. The demanding job of a superintendent needs to be rewarded. If you do any type of salary survey, which we do, you will find that we have one of the lowest paid superintendents in this area and most definitely in this state. So if you'd like to argue or need more information, I would just recommend you can call central office tomorrow. They'll get you all of the exact numbers, they'll get you a copy of the contract, and you can have that information. We're not hiding anything, it's in the budget. I just don't know the exact number, and I don't want to be misquoted if I give the wrong one.
Okay, did you have a follow-up question?
Okay. My understanding is from talking to people, I don't have any people in the school, any kids in the school, and never have. My understanding is that the school is actually a bit top-heavy. There are a lot of administrators. Why do they always constantly cut the teachers, which are teaching the kids, and don't cut the administrators? There's a good chance that a few of those could go as well and save us a whole bunch of money.
Okay, thank you. Do we have another request?
All right, sorry.
Mr. Curry?
Hi, Mike Curry.
On.
Check. All right. Mike Curry, 491 Harbison Road, also speaking as the chair of the Board of Selectmen. So, Margaret, and to the Chris and the school committee, I don't envy being in your position tonight. The same way I wouldn't envy being in our position if we wind up having to make cuts once the 19.7, if the 19.7 winds up getting approved December 1st, because that's a real possibility. It rests really with you tonight, and again, it rests with the school committee in about a week or so if they get a different number or the same number. The fact is, you vote for this board to run your municipal services, okay? There's 2 boards up here, Phillipston and Templeton. You elect that board, they're all elected, to run your schools. And we have our mission. And they're doing their mission. And I think they've stayed steadfast this evening that they're going to continue to do their mission with whatever resources they can get from us. I said it last meeting, I wish I could give them $50 million. I really wish I could. More than double what they get. But that's not the reality. The reality is we have a revenue problem. Right now, we would struggle with a $19.7 million budget on the Templeton side. I'm speaking for Templeton. That assessment would put us at about a $400,000-ish in the hole. And so that piece of paper you grabbed before you came in here tonight represented probably the reality of what cuts we would need to make to reach the $400,000 cut. We just don't have the money. We talk about different sets of money. We're talking about operating budgets that reoccur. I said last meeting, we will be doing this, it's even closer now, we will be doing this all over again. We've already scheduled a meeting for the key members to sit down and talk about the FY21 budget. So we're not having Groundhog Day all over again and having these meetings next year. We want to get better than that. Both boards are committed to doing that. Just next week, both we'll have a joint session of the Board of Selectmen over in Phillipston to discuss all kinds of issues, municipal and school. We're trying to get there, but again, I let off with you vote for that board for a reason, you vote for that board for a reason. It's your money. I don't forget that, the boards don't forget that. We don't have enough money to be able to get to our mutual goals. So consider that with the amendment that's on the floor of the 19.5. Again, when if you approve 19.5, and for some great reason, if the school committee approved that, that sets the minimum contributions from the communities. That's not to say that the communities can't contribute more, especially as we go throughout the fiscal year and we realize things that are not costing as much as we anticipated or otherwise. Remember, those are minimum contributions. I say that as an olive branch because that's reality. Minimum contributions. We cannot afford in Templeton the minimum contribution the $19.7 million budget represents. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any further discussion on the motion on the floor? There's a gentleman behind you, sir, that hasn't had a chance to speak yet.
Greg Griffiths, Templeton, Mass. I'd like to ask the legal counsel of up here, how is it legal for Phillipston voters to vote on the budget of Templeton?
Okay, all questions go through the moderator, and then
Please
I can
ask the
redirect
legal
it. But
counsel,
we have a
redirect
regional
it.
school district, and therefore, the monies must come from both towns. That's why we've been here. I think it's more of an accounting question, or the school committee, actually.
I'm happy to answer that, and if I misspeak, council will speak up. The state has laws as to how budgets are passed for regional school districts. We are not asking Phillipston to approve Templeton's contributions. We are asking both towns of Templeton and Phillipston to vote on the school budget. We use a standard allocation assessment methodology, which then tells the towns how much they owe. So it is not that Phillipston is voting on Templeton's budget. Phillipston and Templeton are voting on the Narragansett Regional School District's budget.
But that's not effectively what's happening here.
Could I have that, please? Thank you.
Okay, so, Tom?
Tom Jelinuski, South Main Street. To one gentleman's comment back here about the schools being top-heavy, that's a common perception. I happen to have had a second career as a teacher, and I'm a retired teacher now, but a lot of those positions we may not agree with, but a lot of them are mandated by the state. They don't really have any choice. School psychologists, curriculum directors, all of it. They're mandated. But I want to tell you a comment. I don't think the school committee understands the constraints that the townspeople are under. When I went to work at the school that I worked at, they just came off of a $12 or $13 million embezzlement by the business manager. And when I went to work there the first year, there was literally no money. And the students still got educated. I actually bought textbooks for my students out of my own pocket. The students still got educated. It took them 5 or 6 or 7 years to recover from that. I don't think you guys are contributing enough. You have to suffer the pain the same as the rest of us.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Toth.
Again, Liz Toth, 141 Gray Road. Mr. Moderator, if you could please ask the school committee, looking around the room, I'm not seeing a lot of parents, and can you please explain why they're not here? Because in previous years, as a parent of students in the Narragansett school system, I was here. Where are they? Obviously, this doesn't seem to be important enough to them.
We can't really answer
explain?
that because they're not here.
That's my point, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Ma'am?
Hello? Okay, Dawn Farrer, Turner Lane. So I know we heard from Chief Bennett last time that they had already made some cuts, anticipating that they would be down on money, but I think I just heard from the school committee that you did cut some teachers already, but that if the 19.8, I rounded up like you did, number goes through, then you will also use some of the school choice money to bring some of those teachers back. Is that what I heard?
I can clarify if you like.
Yes, if you would, please.
We are using school choice monies to fund 5 elementary school teachers at Templeton Elementary School. So that is already happening. We are paying them. They are on board, and those salary events are happening.
Okay, so did the school make cuts beforehand, like the police did?
To get to 19.8, we had to cut 5 elementary school teachers. They were gone. At a school committee meeting, and I don't remember the exact one, we had a lot of healthy discussion, and it was decided that we do a disservice to our students. We had a lot of parental involvement at those meetings, and I agree, I'd like to see more here, that they were very vocal about wanting appropriate-sized classrooms. And the school committee took that under consideration and decided to utilize school choice funds to essentially bring those teaching positions back, but they're not being paid for out of that $19.8 million. It's out of the school choice fund, not the general fund that we're voting on tonight.
Okay, but so we didn't make cuts on teachers?
We did. If you don't mind, I will defer to Dr. Kasman, who can tell you the actuality of what happened.
Okay, because I just thought I heard you say you cut them, but you actually brought them back, so I just am confused.
Clarify.
Chris Kasman, Superintendent. So, in terms of the teachers that were cut, we brought them back. You just heard Ms. Hughes say that. There were 4 positions that they were cuts without a face. We never hired them because they were part of the total cut. They were a school psychologist. We didn't hire that person. There was an intense special needs teacher. We did not hire that person. There was a BCBA, which is a board certified behavioral counselor, the analyst, thank you. We didn't hire that person. And there was a part-time custodian position that we did not hire. So those positions never made it. They weren't even considered. They were just part of the initial cut. So those are positions that we knew that we needed, but we did not hire them.
Okay.
Then add on the 5 elementary school teachers
that we cut but brought back.
There was some natural attrition that happened, so some teachers left. Those positions did not get filled. We had reassigned teachers all over the place. That was step 1. So essentially we didn't, the actual need to give someone a pink slip was minimized since we did have teachers that did leave. So we were able to just backfill by moving people around. Once the school committee voted to add those 5 positions back, that process was unwound, and we were able to maybe move people back to positions they originally had in the grade levels, as well as I believe we did hire additional resources to fill those positions.
Okay, so we didn't make the same cuts at the school that the police had to already make?
Yes, I think your point is made.
Okay.
Okay, next.
Stephanie Flynn, Phillipston. Many of us can be in this room whether we have kids that have gone through the school or our kids are long grown. My husband and I have supported children through this school from 1995 to 2017 when our younger son graduated. But that doesn't mean we don't care. It's all of our responsibility to make sure our children have the best education possible, whether they're my child or they're your child or they're someone else's child in this room. Because someday, I'm going to be in the nursing home, and I want a good nurse and a good technician and a good doctor and someone who maintains the heat in that building. We're all going to face the education of our children and our grandchildren and everyone else's child in this room. It's all of our responsibility. I encourage all of us to vote for the higher number because it's what the children of these 2 communities need. And it's the right thing to do. People made sacrifices for our education. We make sacrifices for the next generation. It's what we're supposed to do.
Thank you. Next. Yeah, there's quite a few over here first.
Ruth French. I'm also from Phillipston. And I want to go kind of way back, if you will. The school department or school committee certified a budget. They asked Templeton for an override of about $1 million. I realize that. Templeton said no. Okay, I can't blame you because you've got to pay for the school, you got to pay for the police department. So adding on $100,000 was really going to increase, or I should say $1 million, whatever it was. It's going to increase your taxes even worse than they're going to go up without the override. However, the school committee said, okay, we understand. They took $600,000 of that out. So they asked for a lot smaller than what they originally did. Now, you're trying to take another $286,000 out by amending this article. I definitely won't support that. And if you should find that we end up voting the $19,786,000 budget, Templeton, it's not too late to ask for a small $300,000 override. Or maybe use some free cash when it becomes certified.
Thank you. Jeff?
I defer to...
Okay.
Go ahead, Jeff. You're here. Mr. Moderator, Jeffrey Bennett, 77 Partridgeville Road of Templeton. I have one concern. I'm looking at the spreadsheet that was on the table that shows the fiscal 20 estimated receipts for the school district, and the total is $11,166,444. This afternoon, I looked at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education website, and it shows current as of July 31st, 2019, that was the final passage of the state budget. It shows the total net receipts scheduled for Narragansett School District at $10,861,995. If I add that to the already agreed number the school committee voted on using E&D of $500,000 and Medicaid of $300,000, that totals net receipts of $11,661,995, which would bring both towns' assessments down to $8,124,894. I mean, you could round that up, down, whichever way you want. My only concern is I have correct current numbers in front of me to vote on. That's my issue.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Could you address that?
No, just a clarification, Jeff, because you are right. There are numbers out there that you're pulling from, and they are online. Could you tell us what the line items are? Because not all of those are included in our estimated receipts that are used to offset the general fund, and I'd like to be able to comment back on which ones may or may not be considered.
Mr. Moderator, what is included on the DESE website, it matches, Chapter 70 is there, charter school reimbursement, tuition, charter school sending tuition, school choice, which is not shown here, but it is in a budget presentation that the school committee voted on, presented, and said they were using school choice monies to help back up their budget. That is included in the DESE amount. And again, the receiving tuition would be $1,425,922. School choice sending is $7,706,972. So there's a net gain of about $700,000. I believe school choice is a revolving fund, so there was already left over. I'm assuming if the school committee is planning on using 1.4, there was already money in the school. I'd just like to see if they're going to use general fund, this fund, the total amount of money that they have available that they said they were going to use. I would just like to see current, correct numbers here.
Okay, thank you. Yes, if you could, ma'am.
I would like to address that, and I'll just ask Dr. Kazian if I misstate anything to please correct me. We are utilizing this current fiscal year, FY20, $1,476,000 out of school choice to fund items that are not in our general fund. So that money cannot be added in to our estimated receipts offsetting the general fund. So right there, you have to take out your your school choice receiving tuition. So that's probably the biggest discrepancy there. To answer Mr. Bennett's question on are we using it, yes we are. The cherry sheet shows about $1,425,000 in receipts in. We're actually projected to utilize $1,476,000. So even more than we're getting in, we're going to be using because there was a small balance carried from last year that we're able to draw upon. So that is what the difference is in those numbers.
Thank you. So you're utilizing your entire school choice budget or revenue, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's important to note too, because we go over this very lightly because we've just been doing this year after year. We also pay for about half of our health insurance out of school choice budget. Okay, so if our school choice monies go away, we still have to pay health insurance. Okay, so that's a lot of money that we take out of school choice that we consciously did years ago to offset having to charge the towns and ask for additional funding. We also pay for 5 teaching positions. We've done this for years. We have roughly a net 125 school choice students in. That nets the net of the out, in and out. We are plus about 125. We have 5 teaching positions that we put in school choice. 25 kids a class, 5 teachers. We're paying for it out of school choice. Okay? We're also, as I indicated before, there were 5 additional teaching positions in Templeton Elementary School that we are now paying for out of school choice. We're also paying for a 6th grade teacher that we couldn't get funding for last year that we needed because those class sizes were 35 to 38. And I don't know if you've ever been in a room with middle schoolers, but you cannot have classrooms that size. We also are paying for our assistant principal at the elementary school. So we are utilizing these funds to backfill positions that this district needs. So we are certainly not asking for monies that we don't need.
Thank you. The gentleman from...
Tony DeJoy, Minuteman Drive. So I've been through this budget process. I've had meetings with Dr. Cassavant, with members of the Board of Selectmen, the town administrator. We're asking the school to use $500,000 of their $635,000 free cash. The town of Templeton, while we don't have an exact figure, is going to probably certify a free cash number in the neighborhood of $1.4 to $1.45 million. So Templeton probably does have the money to pay for it. We also have stabilization funds that we could use and pay back. Now, I say that cautiously because having to go into the FY21 budget cycle, not knowing what the bills are going to be. There's the Worcester Retirement Fund that's going to go up quite a lot, so how much that free cash needs to be used. But right now, the information I have, we can afford the services in Templeton, but I would have to talk with the town administrator and the chairman of the Board of Selectmen more to confirm that. But if we're asking the school committee to use most of their free cash, shouldn't the town of Templeton put some of their free cash into it?
Okay.
No,
yes.
no.
Next, Julie.
Hi, Julie Richard, 33 Orchard Lane, Templeton. I want to just commend the school committee. I want to commend the Board of Selectmen of both towns. I also want to ask the moderator to please, after several conversations and very lengthy discussion, to move the question.
Okay, we have a motion to move the question.
Second.
We have a second to move the question. Moving the question will require a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of... no discussion on this. All those in favor of moving the questions, please stand and be counted.
I almost wish you could start with a no, and then by default.
Okay, thank you. Mike, that's okay. Yeah. You may be seated. All those opposed, please stand. Okay. The motion passes. The question is moved. The motion on the floor is the amendment for the amended motion, which was $19,500,000.
Point of order.
Yes.
I just want to clarify that what we're voting on here is to have that become the main motion so that we can ultimately vote on it.
Yeah, so the motion this is a clarification that I was not clear on what we're voting on. What we're voting for is the motion to amend the main article to $19.5 million, at which point we will then have a discussion on that article and require a second vote. And I've got confirmation from the attorney on that. So if my counters could be ready. So what we're voting on is to amend the main motion to read $19.5 million. That will enable discussion on that, and then we can have a vote, or it could be moved going forward. So all those in favor of the motion to amend the main motion to $19.5 million, please stand up to be counted. And if I could have my counters do their sections, please. Thank you. Okay. And Mike, you can count yourself. Okay.
See what the numbers are.
Okay, the center and the right can sit. This is the right. Did you guys get a number? Okay, all those opposed to the amendment, please stand to be counted. Thank you, Mike.
Are we good to sit down up here?
Yes, you may sit at the, thank you. On the left. Thank you. 33. You may be seated. Thank you. Let me just tally this up. Did you want to confirm my count?
Nobody wants to hear it. They can't get past themselves to understand.
Okay, the amendment passes by a tally of 122 to 76. Thus, the motion to be discussed is see if the towns of Phillipston and Templeton will vote to approve $19.5 million budget for the fiscal year 2020. Do we have any discussion on this motion? Okay. Seeing that there's no discussion on the motion, all those in favor of the amendment of the motion that I just read, $19.5 million, please stand to be counted. The time was 7:52. You're consistent.
Because none of these people are changing their mind. And I said, fuck them all.
Okay. 48, thank you. And the right? 46, thank you. Okay, you may be seated. All those opposed, please stand and be counted. Okay, thank you. You may be seated. 6? Thank you. Okay, so on the yeas, we have 5, 6, 14, 48, 46. Basically 3 people left, I think. 17 on the left, thank you. Okay, thank you. You may be seated. Okay, the motion, turn on my clock here. The motion passes at 7:54, 119 to 74. Okay.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to adjourn town meeting.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to dissolve this town meeting. All adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay.